So I wanted to make this video down the road over there in a nice place, but of course before I clicked record, the whole nearby town decided they wanted to watch the sunset by the water, so instead I came to this entrance to a field. Hopefully no one will decide to come here, and yeah, I came here to show you this. Yeah, it's my new bike. I mean, kind of new. It's the same bike as I had before, just different model of it. So, bigger wheels and spoked and different color. Yeah, so I just wanted to have a quick chat about it. But before that, I'm gonna talk about bikes which I wanted to, well, I say wanted to. I thought I might buy, basically other options I had. But for that, I'll insert a clip here. Back to the studio. Welcome to the studio, I guess. Here to talk about the bikes that could have been. I'll begin by telling you about the criteria. So, they had to be A2 legal, without restriction, and obviously within my budget. So the first bike I looked at was the Honda CB500F, a Japanese parallel twin. If you look after it, it'll run forever, won't let you down, and that's a bit like knowing what you'll get for Christmas or the exact date of your death, and it's just not something I really want, to be honest. The next bike I looked at was the Honda NC700S, and yeah, you can buy those bikes apparently, they're not just rental bikes, but I came to the conclusion that it's too practical, actually. Let me explain. So, when I go shopping, I take a backpack with me every time. In fact, everywhere I go on a bike, I take a backpack with me. And when I shop, I fill said backpack almost every time. And the built-in storage in the Honda could fit pretty much the same amount of stuff, meaning that I'd probably spend twice as much money every time I went shopping, and yeah, that wouldn't be fun. So then I looked at the Kawasaki Z300, which is a brilliant little bike. However, every single one for sale was green, and that just doesn't go with my eyes, you know? So I looked at Yamaha's, the XD660, but it's a supermoto, meaning it's made for people who are 7 feet tall, and I'm not that tall. I'm about 5'11". I don't know. I've not really done a measurement. I did a scientific test, however. I stood next to someone who knows they're 5'11", and someone else told me that we're about the same height. Now you might say, wait a second, that's not a scientific experiment. Too many variables in that one. Are you a scientist? No. Well, I am. Trust me. The other bike I looked at was the Yamaha MT-03, and this would be a pretty bad explanation video if I didn't tell you why I didn't go for that bike. So then I looked at some Austrians and their bikes. The first one was the KTM RC390, and it's a little sports bike, but it's very edgy looking. It looks like if you get on it, you're gonna cut yourself on one of those edges. So I decided to look at the Duke 390, its brother, and even though it's still a bit too crazy for me, it's much better. But I realized one thing, it's actually made in India, not Austria, so it's a poser, and I don't like posers. So I decided to look at a bike that's actually made in India and doesn't hide it, the Royal Enfield Continental GT. They're made the same way they were made in the 60s, except with fuel injection, and apparently very easy to fix at the roadside. Not that I would want to be doing that very often. And yeah, the reason I didn't go for it is because the top speed of it is 90 miles an hour. And I just don't need to go that fast. I mean, I live in Bristol, and it's 20 miles an hour everywhere here, so what's the point? What's the last bike I looked at? Ah, yes, classic bike it was, a BMW R65 turned into a street tracker type of thing, and it was beautiful, very well made. It was in Bristol, so close by, within my price range and within my license range. But it was a classic bike from 1978 or something, and that's definitely older than me. So yeah, didn't want a classic bike as an everyday bike, although I do kind of regret not buying it. Oh well. And yeah, back to the field. Okay, now that that's done, let's talk about this. So, this bike, yeah, it's basically the same, and from about over here, you know, it looks fine. It looks alright, doesn't it? When you get closer, you realize that actually it's quite old. It shows its age and also neglect by the previous owners. Two of which, for a fact, I know are female from service history, which I guess shows it's popular with the ladies. I don't know. But yeah, it's a bit of a piece of shit actually, but it's my piece of shit, and I like it. So where do I begin? I'll try to get over this quickly. Right, the paintwork is chipped and scratched and even cracked in some places, like for example here. I don't even know how you chip paint here, maybe it's with age. Or they wanted to remove this or that or something, and they wanted to remove the badge because there's a screw under it. But I doubt they would have put it back on if they were that clumsy. They would have just lost it. What else? I mean, you know, things like this is a bit tacky from age. The indicators are not from this bike. They look like the originals, kind of, but they're from an Aprilia, I think. See, they don't really fit quite well. I don't know if you can see that. But it's fine. It works. This pedal, not pedal, peg, doesn't fold back like it should. So, you know, it just needs like a spring or something, but I might replace the pegs eventually. I don't know if it was the previous owner or the dealership, they tried to clean the exhaust, but obviously didn't do a very good job of it, because they just cleaned the top of it. It's just kind of stupid. I'll have to now clean the rest of it. Oh yeah, these handguards, you know, from a KTM. They're alright. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep them. Can't decide. They do make the bike a bit wider, I think. And that's the last thing it needs, to be wider at the handlebars. What else? What else? This has obviously been painted badly. Don't know why, but it has. The engine, from age, I guess, again, the paint's kind of tacky. But the rest seems kind of okay. I mean, the seats, you know, a bit blackened over the time, and maybe the paintwork's faded. I'm not really sure. I've not seen a new bike like this to tell you what the paint is like. And yeah, that folds back, you see. Oh, and the other one's missing this thingy. What are they called? Scrapers, whatever. I'll probably remove it anyway. Yeah, paint chips here, maybe from trying to put the key in there. Not sure. No idea. The wheels look nice though. They really kept kept their looks, I think, over the years, more or less. I mean, they're dirty now, but I mean, look at these roads. Yeah. What else? Oh yeah, so you know how I complained about my previous bike making all sorts of weird noises? Well, the sounds that come from this bike could only be described as... what's the right word? Awful, I think. Awful is the right word. Yeah, there's just horrible noises, but it seems to run. I mean, the clutch is dodgy, probably gonna need changing at some point. I mean, it's got 14 something thousand miles on it, so maybe that's good, maybe that's not, I don't know. What else could I talk about it? Yeah, I mean, that moves about a bit from age, wearing out and stuff. It's no big deal. No big deal. And oh, here's another stupid thing the owners have done. So when you charge a motorcycle, even I know this, and I don't know that much about electricity. Just undo my jacket. I don't know that much about electricity, but I know that you don't need to connect to both sides of the battery to charge the bike. So what you do is you connect it to the positive side, which is freely open here, and then you connect the negative side to the frame, for example, or some sort of screw that's sticking out. What's that sound? Anyways, and yeah, you just and it charges, you know, I've done it already. You just connect the positive to the battery, negative to whatever, and it's fine. But the owners had cut a hole in the negative side of the battery for God knows what reason. I mean, you can't even access the negative side anyway with the hole, unless they undid the battery housing, in which case you may as well just take the battery out, because undoing it is the biggest pain in the ass. It's in a really weird place. Yeah, and obviously, of course, they lost the cover for the positive side, so let's just expose the battery to the elements, why not? And, I mean, here paint's a bit cracked. But, you know, it's fine. That's kind of the reason why I bought it, because I also went to look at a different model. It's the same as I had before. They wanted four grand for it, I believe. And they weren't really into haggling, though, that's the thing. I doubt they would have gone lower than, I don't know, 3.5. And it had some dodgy things going on with it, like the mirrors on it were from a 1 to 5. The exhaust heat shields, they're supposed to be black on the other version, and 2 of them were black, and the bigger one was the same color, so it just looks weird on a black bike. And yeah, and as I said, it cost more. Oh, and it had 6 miles on it only, so it was pretty good condition apart from those missing bits. I asked them why they're missing, and he said, "Oh, we just lost them." Okay, good job. But the reason why I went for this instead of the other bike is not only that bike would have needed running in, and I would have had to replace the mirrors because they probably would have been useless from a 125 on a 600. The vibrations and the speed is different, and the exhaust panel would have bugged me so much. I would have had to just get it painted, and the factory ones are really nice matte finish. I don't think I would have achieved that with a spray can, so I would have just had to, get it sent off to get painted, and I don't really want to do that. As I said, the clutch is a bit dodgy. This bike's even choppier to ride than the previous one I had at slow speeds, but it's fine. Once you get used to it, it's fine. So yeah, the reason why I went for this bike instead of the other one is, like Baron kind of said in, well, not kind of, he actually said in one of his videos, once something is old and even damaged, you would just enjoy it more. Because if I bought the other bike, I would have tried to, oh, don't put a scratch on it, just, oh, be careful, and, run it in nicely and all that. And, it was the same with the previous bike, and all of that went out the window and I got crashed into, so I thought, why not get this bike? It's cheaper, so I'm gonna have money left over to insure it and all that. And also, if I drop it, add another scratch, whatever. There's a scratch here, scratch over there, just add it to the list. New scratch, whatever. Who cares? And overall, if I crashed it or got crashed into again, it wouldn't be quite as sad to write it off, I think. But otherwise, I like it. It's fun to ride. I think this one's a bit taller than my previous one because the wheels are bigger. But it's not much taller, it's like a couple of inches. And I think it looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Although, I think this color scheme, which I like to call the Crusader color scheme. Why? Well, because white, red, gold, I mean, it's got some grey and black on it. I don't think it fits. I don't know why the makers did it like that. At least make this white, the mudguard. On the limited edition red bike, that was red, so why not white on this one? Who knows? But yeah, this color scheme I think makes it look a lot like a 125. Well, more like a 125, because with the other bike I was always asked, is it a 125? Is it a 125? No, it's not, it's a 660, but this one just makes it look a bit more like a toy, but a nice toy. I do like the wheels on this bike, I do. It just has got too many colors, I think. It's like bronze and black and grey, white, red, gold. Just pick a color, for God's sakes. Or two. I think 2 or 3 colors is the best. But it still looks okay. It's maybe even better than the black one I had. So yeah, this is why I bought it. It's just more... I can abuse it more, basically. That's what I'm saying. Maybe I'll regret it, maybe it'll break down. Because it's old and neglected, but I'm gonna try and take care of it more than the previous people did, and hopefully it will serve me for a while. Oh yeah, one last thing I forgot to mention is the grips. Was it this grip? Yeah, it was. It's kind of splitting in half. See? Yeah, it's not good. That's gonna have to go. I love these grips. They're very soft and grippy and nice. Wouldn't change them if they weren't going. Maybe I'll keep them for a while. Before winter I might change them, put on heated grips instead. Hope you enjoy this video, and let's get the hell out of the middle of the road, I guess. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to say is I bought something. It's something that's gonna be beneficial to me and the YouTube channel, and it's right here. Let me just quickly grab it, and here it is. In case you don't know what this is, it's a camera. Am I out of the frame? it's a camera. So yeah, you can expect some crappy videos in good quality in the future. I mean, not gonna be 4K or anything, but better than the drift of the bike anyway. So, see ya, I guess.